What's going on, guys? I'm doing another video, and this time I'm going to be talking about Google Fiber, and this is going to be a Black Ops 2 commentary, so there's going to be Black Ops 2 gameplay in the background, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Call of Duty and what effect Google Fiber would have on Call of Duty. So, currently, their speeds are for $80 a month. You can get 1 gigabyte down and 1 gigabyte up per second. And they have two more options. They have one where you pay $0 a month, so it's free, and it's 5 megabytes down and 1 up. But I'm pretty sure you still have to pay like an installation fee. So if you don't use your internet that much, this would be probably a good option for you. You just a one-time offer, your one-time payment. You put down a certain amount of money, and then you don't have to pay for internet anymore. So, that's an okay speed. But then they have for like 120, $115, something like that per month. You can get internet, 1 gigabyte down, 1 gigabyte up a second, like TV and phone. And yeah, so if you're into bundling all three, then that could be an option for you. And next we have the cities that it's located in. So currently on like Google Fiber's website, the official cities they have on there are Austin, Texas, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, and then Provo, Utah. Alright, so you might be asking, Provo, Utah, but so Google, they sort of talked about this a little bit, and the story of Provo is that another company had already put down fiber optic cables, and they were basically just a fiber optic internet company, and yeah, so Google saw the opportunity to buy up this company because it'd be cheaper to buy up this company, and if they so they buy up this company, and they already, since this company already has all the fiber optic cables and stuff installed throughout the city, Google wouldn't have to put down fiber optic cables on their own, which would cost a lot more. So they just decided to buy up this company, and so yeah. And that's pretty much just what Google has been doing. They've been buying up other fiber optic companies and making adjustments so that these cables and stuff will be able to handle 1 gigabyte down, 1 gigabyte up a second. Yeah. So, for the time being, Google Fiber will most likely not. It will not expand rapidly, and it costs a lot of money to install all of the cables slash maintenance. And you might ask, why don't they put, say, Google Fiber in Los Angeles or New York or Washington, D.C.? Well, those are all really, really big cities, and it could be rewarding. There's a lot of other companies um, that are really prevailing in those areas, that are pretty much own those areas. And even if Google Fiber were to go there, they would have to lay down a lot more cables and stuff. It would cost a lot more to install all the cables in, say, New York than it would in, some small town city. But would it be more rewarding? Probably, because you'd get a lot more customers, but at the same time, they, when they put down all the cables, they're pretty much not really in debt, but they need to make up for the loss, not really losses, but they need to make up for all the money they spent on putting down all the cables and all the maintenance and stuff. And yeah, so they're probably going to expand relatively slowly. So I would expect here in, I don't know, within 6 months or 5 months, they would announce maybe 2 more cities, and they're going to start building in 2 more cities. So it's going to probably go like that every couple months, every like 4 or 5 months, they're going to announce another city. And yeah, so eventually I would guess that most the U.S. would be covered, but I'm not sure if Google is interested in covering the whole U.S. But you never know. So, um, if I were to make a prediction on when the entire U.S. would be covered by Google Fiber, I'd guess maybe like 2030, 2025, something like that. Just because it's relatively slow trying to get everything started with them, and also most people don't need 1 GB down and 1 GB up per second. Most people are fine with, say, 10 down, 5 up, or 20 down, 10 up, something like that. So most people don't do super heavy downloads and super heavy uploads. But if you are a YouTuber like me and you play video games all the time, you know that it's really nice to have a high-speed internet like this. And yeah, so like I said, most people don't need 1 gig down, 1 gig up. Most people are fine at 20 down and 5 up. Yeah. So for YouTube, 1 GB would be really nice, and as I am recording this, I am actually uploading a video right now, and it's about 700 megabytes, and my internet isn't the best in the world, but it gets the job done. It says I'm at 19% right now, so yeah. So let's say if I did have Google Fiber this second, my upload my upload to YouTube right now, it would take I would say just roughly maybe 10 seconds, something like that, probably 5. Yeah. So most internet companies have the download speeds around 4 times faster than the upload speeds. Take Verizon Fios for an example. Their top speed is 500 megabytes a second download, but their top upload speed is 100 megabytes a second. So it's sort of because the majority of people in, like, say, the U.S. Only download things and rarely upload things. So they still have you be able to upload things, but you don't see every single person in the U.S., have a YouTube account and uploading really heavy file size videos like 2 GB videos to YouTube. You don't see a lot of people in the U.S. doing that. And yeah, so if you want to watch a movie on Netflix, you have to download it, or you have to stream it, which requires you to have a pretty good download. Downloading songs, downloading pictures, and just everything is pretty much a download. So, yeah. But, say, sending an email, that would be an upload, but you don't need 1 GB upload to send an email. You could do that with dial-up. But, yeah. So, for Call of Duty, Google Fiber would be ideal for Black Ops 2, and pretty much all previous Call of Duties. And with Google Fiber, if you had host, it would be super stable. So if you were host, there's pretty much a 99.9% chance that you would never get kicked. So if you're the host, you wouldn't, like, I've heard stories of people who their internet can't handle being host, so the game selects this person to be the host, and after the host migration, you play for about 10 seconds, and then the host gets kicked because their internet can't handle this. But with Google Fiber, your internet would be so stable since it's fiber optic line and it's 1 GB down, 1 GB up a second. It'd be so awesome. So, with Google Fiber, if every single person had Google Fiber, it still would not eliminate lag. It would help a lot, but it takes, like, say, roughly, don't quote me on this, around like 15 milliseconds to get from, even if you had like a solid fiber optic line, like a solid, super speed, cable running directly from LA to New York, it would still take 15 milliseconds to get there. and that doesn't include going through ISPs, and going through your router, and yeah, just it takes that long. That's just the way it is. The speed of light stuff. That's the way it is. You can't change that unless there's like new technology coming out or something like that. But for the time being, you can't change that. There's going to always be like 15 milliseconds of lag, or like a delay between the time you send it and the time someone receives it. So, if the host had Google Fiber and was in Austin, Texas, and someone was in Alaska, and it was in Juneau, Alaska, it would still potentially lag just because of the distance between the host and the player who is in Alaska. Just because of that distance, sure, you would most likely have a good connection, but just because um, everyone else in the lobby, they all have to their internet has to connect to yours, and some people who don't have very good internet, it would still lag for them, but it would make a pretty great game if everyone had Google Fiber. But with the Xbox One, Call of Duty Ghosts will have dedicated servers. So Google Fiber wouldn't be as valuable as it would for, say, Black Ops 2 and other previous Call of Duties. But it would still, be super, super awesome. So with Google Fiber, you would have a very, very low ping. So I saw a guy, he had Google Fiber, he was in Kansas City, and he speed test like the Google Google Fiber server in that city, in Kansas City, and he got a 1 millisecond ping. So let's say all your friends, so let's say you've got 5 friends, and all of you live in the same city, say Kansas City. Then you hop into a lobby, your whole team, all 6 of you, you would all have a really great connection. If you were host and you had Google Fiber, pretty much just anyone who is by you in your city, it'd take 1 millisecond. So 1 millisecond opposed to someone who lives, in Alaska, it would take them, say, most likely about 15 milliseconds, just judging by their internet and time it takes. So yeah. So with Google Fiber, it would almost prevent DDoSing. People who DDoS, they hit with a force of around 1 gigabyte. So pretty much Google, or not Google, but DDoSing is you send a bunch of packets to someone's router and their internet, and there's so many packets that say it's around 1 gigabyte of just files and packets and data, and say you have a 100 meg internet, and if they hit with a force of around 1 gigabyte, and this doesn't just last for like 1 second, sometimes it can last like 5, 10, and depends on how many servers you're hitting you with, but pretty much it causes your internet to go down because your internet cannot keep up with this stream of all this data coming in through. So basically just overrides your router, and your whole internet just goes down for a bit. So you can't even connect to the internet. But so people who hit with a force of around 1 gigabyte, if you had Google Fiber, let's back it up a bit. If you had, let's say, 100 megabytes internet, 100 megabytes down, so someone sends a force of, 1 gigabyte for 10 seconds, so that's 10 gigabytes right there. So for every second that goes by, your router can handle 100 meg of that 1 gigabyte, but then it just builds up. So at the very end, your router would most likely would download, like, it would take away 1 of the 10 gigabytes. So there's still 9 gigabytes remaining, and your router just can't handle that constant stream, and it just, keeps smacking your router and keeps, pushing it. So, yeah. So with Google Fiber, since you do have a 1 gigabyte down, if you got DDoSed, your router would pretty much almost your internet would pretty much almost eliminate. So they send a 1 gigabyte data or packets, and your router receives it, pretty much almost instantly sucks it up, and yeah, so you might still get DDoSed, and you might still be able to get hit offline, but it would take a lot longer, and most likely the person who's DDoSing you would have to hit with a force of greater than 1 gigabyte, probably like 2, maybe even 3 to take you down. But yeah, most people who DDoS wouldn't be hitting you with 2-3 gig. They would be hitting you with like 1, maybe 500 megs, something like that. But yeah. So upload and download speeds don't really mean much in Call of Duty. So you might be asking, well, what does matter? Ping is what matters. So I'm not going to go in depth on it, but the simplest way to explain it is if you have the lower your ping, the better your connection. So if you have 10 milliseconds, or you have ping of 10 compared to someone who has a ping of 60, the person with a ping of 10 is going to have a better connection. So next I'm going to be comparing Google Fiber and Verizon Fios. So Google Fiber and Verizon Fios are very different. Fios is only located in very big cities such as LA, New York, Washington, DC, etc. And Google Fiber isn't in super big cities. Google Fiber is in cities that already have fiber optic cables installed. So Google Fiber gives you a better deal for the speed / money than Verizon Fios. So an example would be Google Fiber. If you pay $80 a month, you get 1 gigabyte down, 1 gigabyte up. Verizon Fios, if you pay $295 a month, that's just internet. These are just internet. No phone, no TV included. You can get 500 megabytes down and 100 up. So it's pretty much, you pay almost more than 3 times less for Google Fiber, but you also pretty much double. You get twice as fast speeds than Verizon Fios. So yeah. Together, these sort of, they would bond pretty good, because if you live in a big city like New York and you want Google Fiber, your best bet, the second best speeds in the US would be Verizon Fios. So if you live in New York, and since Google Fiber isn't there, and you're like, man, I want Google Fiber, you could get Verizon Fios. And you could get a pretty good speed. You could get a speed relatively close to Google Fiber, but you'd be paying a lot more. So yeah, that's just the way it is. And yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope you have stayed through this whole almost 19-minute commentary right now. But yeah, so tell me what you think of Google Fiber down below. Do you think it's overkill? Do you think there isn't a need for 1 gigabyte down, 1 gig up, uploads and downloads? Do you think, are you comfortable with, 20 down, 10 up? Tell me your internet speed in the comments down below, and tell me if you're happy with it. So, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. Be sure to give this video a rating, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.